DNF, did not finish, if you will. If you look at my bookshelves, you'll find multiple unfinished books with bookmarks still in them. Because I lose motivation sometimes. And then I'll put a book down and not return to it for months, years. Most of the books on my shelves, though, are soft DNFs. Soft DNF is a book that you plan to return to, and a hard DNF is a book that you just cannot finish because you actually know you'll hate it. Most of the books I DNF'd this year were the second half, with a little caveat of maybe returning to it.
Yes, I did start this. Yes, I do want to finish it someday. Not today. I do support not finishing books, but something about the books I left unfinished this year have brought me back to them. And now I want to see if they're worth picking back up or if I should have left them DNF'd. What do you think, Felix? This is my son. This is kind of a funny outfit, I think, if you can even see it. I'm kind of far from the camera. I have my little tennis skirt. It's not a tennis skirt, it's just an athletic skirt. And my Nightmare on Elm Street shirt. Hey y'all. I'm just gonna come in a little closer so I could see myself and talk to you. What is that? It's just my backpack. We're reading The 7-Year Slip. That's the first book. So the thing about this book is that it's very popular. A lot of people give it 5 stars. A lot of people give it 6 stars. A lot of people give it 4.5, 4. People love this book. I don't think that's a nice sound. That's not a nice sound either. People love this book, and I was so ready to be one of those people. So I went to Barnes & Noble one day, and I was perusing the little tables, and I saw it, which obviously I knew about it, so it wasn't new to me. I looked at it, opened up the first page, and immediately fell in love with the writing. Let me grab the book. I had to borrow it from the library because the thing is I bought the book right after that because I was like, oh my god, I need to annotate this. I did not need to annotate it. So this book, if you don't know, is about this woman who moves into her late aunt's apartment that has something a little special about it. Her aunt has always told her that there's something magical about it, and she has never necessarily believed her, but she also hasn't not believed her. She's just never experienced it. And basically the apartment can and will send you back 7 years into the past. Randomly. When Clementine, our main character, is living in the apartment, one day she goes back home and it's 7 years in the past when her aunt and she were on vacation. They were doing some traveling, and Clementine's aunt was renting out the apartment to a man, an attractive man at that, a chef man at that, and some romance happens. Fun concept, sounds interesting. Already comes with some conflict where it's 7 years in the past. There are a couple things. I'm already getting into some of my issues. There are a couple things with that. This isn't a spoiler because it's early in the book. She doesn't tell him anything about the 7-year jump, which I guess is fair. He wouldn't really believe her. But for some reason I was like, just explain to him. Just explain it to him. That's just me being stupid. That's not a critique of the book. And yo, this braid. Oh my god. Anyway, the beginning, I'm trying to find... Okay, it wasn't the first page, because the first page is a little prologue, short page. It was the first chapter. This I really liked. So, it says, my aunt used to say, if you don't fit in, fool everyone until you do. She also said to keep your passport renewed, to pair red wines with meats and whites with everything else, to find work that is fulfilling to your heart as well as your head, to never forget to fall in love whenever you can find it, because love is nothing if not a matter of timing, and to chase the moon. Always, always chase the moon. That got me, and it still got me. I still think that is such a good start to the book. It's later that affected me and my reading. My issues that came along, so I got 156 pages in. Less than halfway, but oh my god, I'm looking at the exact paragraph, okay, where I stopped reading, and I understand why. I'm gonna try to make this brief. Basically, I found the progression of the romance in the beginning to be a little too quick, as in 2 days pass and I feel like there's no tension. It's like they're immediately into each other, and it makes sense in the end with the story because then we have to jump back into the present and he's in the present, and then that's where stuff happens, and that's kind of where I am. But again, I'm 156 pages in, and a lot of that time was spent her in the apartment 7 years in the past, just them having so much chemistry. And the chemistry for me was very forced, as in they were just already like perfect for each other, and that was it. That was all we had to do. Thought I liked the protagonist in the beginning, kind of didn't care for her. And he is hot. I will say that. He is hot. He's giving Carmi Berzotto vibes. Chef with tattoos. Not the issues. Not the trauma. And also I don't think he would look like Jeremy Allen White. I think he would probably be a little bit more conventional. Jeremy Allen White is hot. Yeah. What was I even saying? Okay, yes, so the thing about the chemistry is they would have conversations about literally straight up just food, and I'm supposed to be like fawning over it. Like literally there's no other hidden meaning below it. It was just about food, and I was like, okay, can we move on with this? My other thing is I felt like a lot of conversations were very boring, and a lot of the jokes and humor, like they would be like saying stuff that's supposed to be funny to each other, and I'm like, this just isn't funny. And right now, exactly where I am, page 156 on this paragraph, there's a shark joke. It's mentioned, okay, it's said twice in this paragraph, but it's not funny. I just knew I wasn't gonna end up connecting with the romance in this story, and the humor. The humor was a big thing because it was trying to be funny while not being funny, and I feel like this book for me is going to feel like it is trying to be funny, it is trying to be deep, it is trying to be romantic when it doesn't hit that for me. Star prediction? I don't know. I thought maybe 3 stars, but now thinking about my issues again with it, it might be like 2.5. We'll see how this goes. I just started. And I'm already annoyed. I remember why this scene in particular really threw me off. There's literally a conversation happening outside of her, like next to her, the main character. It's first person perspective. There's a conversation happening around her, and she's glued to her phone. She's looking at something on her phone and she's glued to her phone, like very much like only paying attention to what's on her phone. But we are still getting exact dialogue from the conversation happening around her, even though she gets surprised when they like call her out and they're like, hey, pay attention, and she's like, oh, this might be really nitpicky, but it just doesn't make sense to me why we would be seeing this conversation if she's not paying attention to it. It's literally first person perspective, so we should be out of it with her. We should be glued to her phone with her and not hearing what's going on around her. Okay, also, the conversation that's happening and that paragraph that has a really bad joke, the shark joke.
Okay, I'm literally editing right now, and I just need to point this out. I'm sorry, I'm like hanging on to this, but I just need to point out that this moment that I'm talking about, I'm cutting myself off really quickly. This moment that I'm talking about, and the shark joke is related to the conversation that's happening in front of Clementine, but Clementine is engrossed in her phone. So why is she giving his commentary on the conversation that she's not a part of?
If this doesn't become important, why is it here? Like, I'm looking it over and I'm like, I don't think this has anything to do with what she's thinking about right now. And I don't know that it's gonna lead to anything important. So this is why I'm frustrated. This is why this book frustrated me, and I literally had to put it down at this exact moment. Cause I was like, I don't even feel like what is being written is important. This is what I mean with like the conversations and stuff that's included. I'm like, why is this here? Okay. I'm gonna keep reading and get past literally being on this page. The one thing I'll give this book is it's very easy to read. I just bodied 70 pages, just like that. She's been completed. I'm about to get ready for bed. I'm gonna go wash my face, take off my makeup. The last 100 pages I think were the best part of this book. The romantic moments, I felt my heart pitter-patter a little bit more. That is because he's still hot. Like, he's still hot, and the things he says and does are very hot. Would like one of him. The emotional moments in this book I felt were actually done pretty well. I did find myself getting a little teary-eyed. There's a lot of talk about grief in this book, and I appreciated the messages within this story and kind of the character development that Clementine goes through. I appreciated it, but I will say, Clementine, this has been my struggle with her from the beginning. She like kind of barely feels like a character to me. Like, when I'm literally picturing the scenes, I feel like I can see everyone else and the setting pretty well, but then she just like doesn't exist to me. She's just the words on paper. I don't know, she just isn't like a physical being in my mind while reading this. I just felt so disconnected from Clementine. Like, I just don't, there's been a lot of you know, between us. And the last thing I'll say is that Ashley Poston, she tries to leave like little hints to things throughout the book, but it's that I don't know how much more subtler she could be with her hinting at things, but it's so obvious. Every time one, like literally can be mentioned in a short sentence and I'm like, I know exactly where that's going. Or yep, no, I know who that is. Yeah, no, I know what you're doing here. So she literally either includes things that are so unnecessary, like that conversation that I mentioned way back, and there have been other things that feel like that where I'm like, why are we talking so much about this? Like, why are we seeing so much of this? Or she does include things that are important, but they don't just pass by unnoticed. And I know exactly what she's doing with it. I'm kind of between a 2.5 and a 3. I think that it was kind of worth revisiting. It's hard because the end of the book did make me feel a bit more positive about it, but that beginning bit was so... First book, done. Finally finished this book after DNFing it, and I think it was worth revisiting because I understand why people really do enjoy this book. The next book though, I don't think I will be this kind to. Riley Sager and I have beef. I actually just finished this. I only had 109 pages left from where I DNF'd. So I DNF'd at page 240. The book is 349 pages. Honestly, a little bit too long, but little backstory on me and Mr. Riley Sager. I've read 2 of his other books, Lock Every Door and Home Before Dark, and I didn't really enjoy either one of them. Lock Every Door I just like was underwhelmed. I heard so many good things about him. People love him, and I read the book and I just kind of was like, okay. I didn't care about the twist. I thought it was a little too outlandish. And then Home Before Dark, I don't remember what the twist is. Like, I literally don't remember the ending of that book, but I know I gave it 2 stars because I just realized how much I don't like his writing. I don't like his plots. I don't like his characters. I hate that he writes, not that I hate that he writes only exclusively female main characters, which I kind of do. I don't like the way he writes them. They're just like not, I don't like it. I just don't like it, and I don't like that he has a pseudonym to sound gender neutral, and like most people when they read his name assume he's a woman at first, which is what I assumed. And then I found out he was a man, and I was it was a little questionable. And this book, I started reading it for my 5 thrillers in 5 days, and I just couldn't finish it. Like, I had no interest to pick it back up once I put it down at this spot. I'm fine with finishing it now because now I will never return to one of his books ever again. A few things I want to say. This book got really ridiculous, and Riley Sager isn't, he's not, I don't really know that he's equipped to do absurd horror / thriller. There's definitely more of a thriller, but like it leans into horror in the end, and I don't know that I liked it. But I don't really want to say this as like a spoiler, but one of the twists includes information being literally held from us by the narrator, and I don't like that. I don't like that at all because I don't find that to be a twist. Like, I don't find it to be a twist because like she just knew it the whole time and we just weren't allowed to know. I don't know, like I don't find that to be a twist. I think a twist is something that, I don't know, I don't like that, and maybe I could like it in something else, but I didn't like it when he did it. Another thing is Riley Sager didn't have the balls to end it at a certain part that I actually think it would have been really cool to end the book. There's something that happens, and I think that would have been a really cool character moment and a really interesting conclusion to this story with the absurd direction that it goes in. But instead, we get pulled back out and the story continues, and then there's another twist in the last literally 10 pages. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that because I do think that that is kind of a spoiler, but you know there's gonna be twists going into this. Riley Sager just does too much. He's too overconfident, I think, in his abilities, no offense. And I just think he's like, yep, I'm gonna get you with this one again. I don't appreciate it. I've talked before on the fact that I don't like the way he writes his female characters, but not really that. I don't like the way he touches on sexism because it feels so surface level and like basic that it just kind of annoys me that he has taken on this responsibility to write female characters and include these moments of justice or of feminism. So there's one moment that I ended up dog-earing because I haven't been able to think of examples from the other books because I read them a while ago, but now I have an example from this book. So there's one moment where she's talking to a man. I did not give you an explanation of what this book's about. I can try to do that after this. She's talking to a man, and this is basically what she says. She is feeling angry at something that this man has done in regards to women. And she says, not just angry at him, but at all men who think life is somehow easier for women, especially the pretty ones. Easy, I say? You have no idea how hard it is to be a woman, or how maddening it is to always feel at risk, because that's just how our effed up society is. Trust me, you're not equipped to handle it. Wait until you have to walk down the street alone at night or stand on the subway platform and wonder if one or more of the men around you will try to harass you or assault you. And the last line I can't say because it's a spoiler. Okay. You were so big brain, Riley Sager. Like, oh my god, you understand what it's like to be a woman. Oh my god. Disagree, totally disagree. A blurb on the back, Riley Sager is an auto buy for me. No, I never want to read another one of his books. I don't know what this is, maybe 1.5 stars. Because the thing about this book is I think that doesn't make sense. I was gonna say, I think it's the best of the 3 that I've read, but I also don't because I'm rating it the lowest because I don't think it's the best. I think the thing is each book I read of his, the less I like anything I've ever read of him because the more he just annoys me. I think the premise of this was interesting. I think the setup was interesting. The setting itself was interesting. It's about this woman named Casey who's an actress, but she was recently widowed. Her husband drowned in the lake where they have like a lake house, and she starts living there like full time, and she saves one of their neighbors, Catherine, who's a famous model, from drowning, and they start to become friends. But then she sees that Catherine, the model, her marriage seems to not be very perfect. Casey herself has been kind of spying on them with binoculars, the house across the lake. That's why it's called that, because they live in the house across the lake, and she's been spying on them through the window and seeing their marriage be not very healthy. And one day Catherine vanishes, and she is pretty certain that her husband has something to do with it. Catherine's husband has something to do with it. So yeah, that's the premise of the book. Beginning was okay, still had my issues with him as a writer, and I don't see myself, I'm just gonna say, don't let me read another one of his books because I just know I'm not gonna like it. None of his books are gonna interest me. Oh. I picked up Daisy Hates. This is the next book that I DNF'd. I actually have to find it on my Kindle because I have the book on my Kindle, but I just hung out with my friends at Barnes & Noble and I just picked up the physical copy and read there. Okay, my story with Daisy Hates and Magnolia Parks in general is that I read Magnolia Parks for my first 24-hour readathon ever. I was struggling through Magnolia Parks. I ended up giving it 2.5 stars. That book annoyed the crap out of me, for real. But for some reason, a few weeks later, I was like, I kind of feel like picking up Daisy Hates. I think because I saw people just loving the series so much that I still was like, this is my problem. I get FOMO with series a lot. So I will try out things that I'm not really liking too much when I just shouldn't because I'm putting myself through pain and misery. So I picked up Daisy Hates, but I honestly was liking it more than Magnolia Parks. Low-key, I was kind of feeling some of the things that Daisy was talking about. I was like, whoa, I'm understanding this a little more. I'm like, whoa, this is a little bit more emotional. I don't know, it just was hitting better than Magnolia Parks was for me. But I'm not a fan of Jessa Hastings' writing. Her format of her stories and her non-existent plots, that I just still got tired, and it took me a while to read through it. I read through like 80% of the book. I read to page 390 and the book is 477. I'm on page 414 or 417. That's how far in I was in the physical copy. I found where I am. I'm gonna try to get some reading in now before bed. I'm really tired right now. Low-key, I was falling asleep in Barnes & Noble. I was not falling asleep in Barnes & Noble, but I was reading it and I was like, I could nod off right now. So I think that might be a good thing to knock me out right now. I'm gonna get to bed and I'm gonna read some. I'm gonna get out of this cute outfit and into some dingy pajamas. I think this is it. I think this is it for this video. Low key, it's been a struggle. I did complete 3 books that I DNF'd this year. I was kind of thinking to do 1 more book. Like, I was in my head planning to do 4 books for this video. I was like, let me knock out 4 of the books that I DNF'd this year. Because I did spend like a lot of time in some of these books, and I wanted to maybe add them to my like reading goal for the year. But also I was curious to see these books out, especially because a lot of them I was literally like right at the end. Not necessarily with 7 Year Slip, I wasn't even halfway through. I was like just under halfway through. But like House Across the Lake, I had the last bit left. Daisy Hates had the last bit left. And another book, no, I had way too much of that book left, and I have no interest in going into it. Like, literally maybe in the future, but definitely not now. Definitely not this week. If I do another book, it'll put me in a reading slump, and that's absolutely not what I want to be in right now. So I've pivoted, and I've already read 100 pages of another book. Just now, just earlier in one sitting. I finished Daisy Hates this morning, and then I just sat down and read 100 pages of another book, and very happy with that. You'll see that, just so you know. Since we're done with the 3 books, let's just overview them again. Oh wait, no, I didn't really do any wrap-up thoughts on Daisy Hates. Truthfully, these are my thoughts. Yeah, I feel nothing for this book. I will forget about it. Going back into it, I didn't miss Jessa Hastings' writing at all. When I first initially picked up Daisy Hates, I thought I maybe liked it more than Magnolia Parks, and sure, maybe I did, but the thing about the Daisy Hates setting, the Daisy Hates books follows like crime families, and it just feels a bit ridiculous. Which if you're in the mood for that, or if you're anticipating that, or if you're down to like suspend your disbelief for that, then it could be enjoyable, but it just was not. Just wasn't. Reading some of the stuff going down, I was like, this is so dramatic. And I didn't really want to be in it, so I'm glad I didn't have that much left. Technically, there was like a Magnolia chapter bit at the end, but it's like 20 pages. I was flipping through it. I was like, I do not need to read this. I'm not gonna read the next book in this series. I'm done with this series. I'm definitely like, I don't know why I picked up Daisy Hates. I was just curious to see if potentially her perspective and like her story would be more interesting to me, and it kind of was, but also it kind of really wasn't. So I'm probably giving this book 2 stars. I don't know. I kind of don't really, I don't know if I can rate these books. Like, these are books that I didn't want to finish, so technically I feel like they should just be nothing. 7 Year Slip is the only one that I think I would recommend to people, because I think it is justifiable that people like it. That's a mean thing to say. I think it's fine if you like this book. It's fine if you like Daisy Hates. Like, people have different tastes. These did not work for me at all. 7 Year Slip also didn't really work for me, but I have a little bit more appreciation for that writing, especially towards the end. Please, if you ever see me even talk about another Riley Sager book, just tell me not to read it. Like, just tell me not to do it to myself, because I cannot do this to myself again. This book was absolute insanity and absolutely ridiculous. I saw my friends yesterday, and I literally explained the end of this book to her, and she was in disbelief. It was ridiculous explaining it, and we were both just laughing. If you like this book, that's amazing. I'm just really happy for you, genuinely, because I like to enjoy books. I do not like his books. I don't need to do this again. If I DNF'd a book, I DNF'd it for a reason, and there's no reason for me to return to it unless I own it. I don't even own any of these books. So the only books actually that I would consider going back to are ones that I own. A lot of the ones that I showed on my bookshelves are books that I plan to return to, and I soft DNF them because I just wasn't in the mood for them at the moment, not because they were anything bad. These books were books that I literally was like, I don't need to keep reading these. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed seeing a bit of my distress, my pain. Kind of took a bit out of me, to be honest. But I did also have like a really busy week. Thank you for watching. And again, thank you guys for like all of you commenting. Oh my God, thank you guys so much for all of the happy birthday wishes on my last video. They were so sweet. You all are literally the kindest and most sweet people ever. And I really appreciate you all for being here. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you will enjoy my next one. I will be reading books that I'm enjoying in that. So hopefully I can actually recommend something to you. So was this worth it? No.